3, 2, 1. How's it going?
Not too bad, how are you?
Good, yes, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Skyping again.
Podcast number 5? Yeah,
Podcast number 5.
that's what it is. Oh, I've got the creaky chair again. Listen. Right, so first task for podcast number 6, WD-40 on the seat. Right.
Your WD-40 is a fantastic tool.
It really is.
It's brilliant. Have you ever fix it? It cleans stuff as well.
And can I tell you a fact about WD-40?
Are we going to have to fact check that later?
I don't think you can fact check this one if you want, but I actually think that this is a genuine fact that I'm so confident in I wouldn't need to check. What do you think WD stands for?
I don't know.
Water dispersal. And the reason it's called 40 is because that was the 40th formulation that they tested. So there you go.
Nice. Mm-hmm. I think that's still a fact check.
You're just determined to check that because you hope that it's wrong.
Just in case.
And it's rubbish. Yeah, so it's not a bad tip there to start off. How's your week been?
No. Week's been not bad actually. Is this a week since we last did this?
No, actually the last one was on the 10th of April, so today is the 23rd, so we're almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks. That's not too bad considering. My week's been pretty good. My 2 weeks has been pretty good. Actually, I think we said this last time. One of the good things about the lockdown and everything is sleep. Sleep continues to be good, but fitness wise, I'm doing a lot more. I've managed to. It'd be interesting to hear how yoga is going because I've managed to do yoga every single day, consistently every single day, sometimes twice. And I 100% feeling the benefit of it.
Are you becoming a yoga guru?
A yogi.
A yogi, is that what they call it? Yeah.
Oh, come on. No. I've been starting to think about, should I buy a book or try and figure out a course to go on to start trying to... Because as you know, and as you slagged me for, I'm basically posting on Instagram and watching along to someone else doing yoga.
Yep. Which I said to you before I found difficult. And we'll come to my yoga in a minute. But you're obviously able now to just know what to do. Whereas for me, I'm kind of cranking my neck every 2 seconds to try and watch someone. Just
the power of sight and hearing.
I have to say, actually,
are you watching? Have you turned it right down and watching it in the dark? So
yes, I'm watching it.
Just trying to guess what they're doing
with my eyes closed. I think that your downward dog is much more impressive than mine.
Do you reckon?
Well, I have to say on Instagram, you do look pretty good actually. That sounds wrong. I mean, your yoga poses are pretty good.
No, but it's amazing. I genuinely think consistency is the key with yoga, and there was a breakthrough moment just 2 or 3 days ago. Me and Cole went out a 5K run, and after that, my legs were kind of feeling achy, and my muscles were feeling achy. And so I did an evening yoga. I hadn't managed to do a yoga for the first morning for ages, so I was definitely going to do one. And I did it in the evening, and I felt way more flexible. I can push myself just quite a bit more than I was even a week ago, which is good. So I remember when I was getting reasonably fit a couple of years ago, doing yoga. I did that 14-day Boho Beautiful yoga challenge, and towards the end of that, definitely felt a difference. So that's why I'm just going to, by hook or by crook, I'm doing a daily yoga routine, even if it's 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm doing it, and touch wood, it's been really good. And I've also then incorporated, so if I do that daily and get that out of the way, mostly in the morning quite often before anyone else gets up. Usually me and Theo get up and he just crawls around the place, which is great.
That's just quite funny actually when you watch your videos is seeing Theo get involved and climbing all over your back and stuff like that.
it screws up the meditation element of it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he's running up and trying to hit me with things, but you can't see that because it's speeded up. But that's working well, and then it's allowing me to then also maybe do a run or some weights or whatever. For today, for example, I did yoga this morning. I then did a weights kind of routine with Oscar at lunchtime, and then yoga with Cole this evening because we didn't go run. And then the other days I'm going to run with Cole or run with Cole and Oscar. That one day, daily exercise you can go out the
Yeah.
house for. And I've also actually been, because I don't know why, but even going out once a day, I've been feeling guilty. Sean's like, you're allowed to go out once a day. But I've been doing some runs around the garden. So I did 3 kilometres around the garden. A couple of.
Do you know that? That's interesting.
It's lucky having a garden, but.
Yeah, that's true. But it is actually, I found that when I've been out running at weekends, there's so much more people out walking than there ever has
you would
been
normally.
before.
Uh-huh.
And you think actually, so are these people who normally go to the gym or go to classes, or are these people who are just absolutely sick of being stuck in the house, or is it a combination of both? But it kind of, to a certain degree, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think where we live, there's a bit more kind of open space, and you're not in the middle of a big city, and so people are pretty good at social distancing when you kind of walk past each other, and quite respectful. But it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit, I feel, when you're seeing so many people out walking, because there is definitely a huge increase compared to, I mean, I've been running outside probably at weekends, for as long as I can remember, and I always tend to go. I never see it. You might see a couple of folk walking their dogs and stuff, but literally when I went running on Sunday, was it Monday? I can't. No, it was Sunday. On Sunday there, you're literally having to run down this one bit of stretch of road where I'm having to actually cross over constantly left to right on a country road just to give people that space. And then of course then someone's coming on that side of the road, so then have to slow down behind this granny and just kind of walk for a bit until they've walked past, because it's just such a bizarre thing.
That's what Cole was getting, because Cole was a good minute, if not slightly more, faster than me at the 5K. So he was running off, and actually for the first half, he was kind of staying with me, and then he said he was raging when he got home because he was the same. He was like, I said, make sure. He said, you go on ahead, but make sure if you do come across anyone, make sure you're giving them distance and all that, or space. So quite often he was having to stop and stuff. So he's pretty fit now. So I did the 5K in 28 minutes. He did it in like 26 and a half or something.
That's good.
Which is pretty good. And considering he's not really timing himself or going for it, he's not pushing himself particularly. So
I did a 10K on Sunday in 50 minutes and 30 seconds. I was gutted.
50 minutes and 30 seconds? That's good.
Because I was trying to get below 50, but my knee started to get sore. So anyway, let's finish on you. So yoga, a bit of running. What else?
Yoga, a bit of running, a little bit of weights, but that's kind of fallen a little bit by the wayside, but I'm not too concerned by that. Diet, sleep's been fairly consistently good, and that's again 100% because I've got a little bit more time in the morning because you don't have the commute. So being ready for sort of 9ish, just before 9, easy.
Yep.
Whereas if you're trying to get into work for that time or slightly earlier or whatever, then. So that's been fine. The main thing that I need to work on, and I've actually started logging into MyFitnessPal and just recording stuff, is diet still pretty poor.
Is this still this obsession with crisps and chocolate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not. I wouldn't say that's obsession. That's a bit strong. Oh. But yeah, it's basically evening crap. I would call it evening. So it's fine. Lunchtime, relatively okay.
Are we talking about bowel habits now? Is that?
Dinner, quite a lot of bread, kind of related items, and then for whatever reason, I'm going to have some sweets. I'm going to have that.
It's been Easter though. You've had Easter eggs and stuff.
And also,
that doesn't help.
Actually, booze is a topic we should probably cover at some point.
Yep.
So I don't know about you. I've been drinking more than I would have normally.
Yeah, we have too. In fact, I've got a beer here at this moment in time.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, I'm having tea.
Not good. We're spending a lot more money in food. Have you found that?
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely. I mean, I think the kids
But
are
remember,
eating
lunches.
more.
Kids, I think kids are eating more.
And I think because they're
Um,
bored. I think if they're
bored.
bored, they
Yeah,
just start
yeah,
eating, and that's part of it. Yeah. So we're
definitely bored. Plus,
definitely spending more.
if you're out working as well, you'd normally get lunch there. I'm guessing so. Plus,
Yeah,
you'd
I
maybe eat
suppose.
out, maybe get takeaways. So you're not really thinking about money on that because it's all going in the supermarket shop. So
Right, here's a
I
question
don't
then.
know.
Have you had a takeaway since this all happened?
We've had, I think, three.
Yeah,
So
we're about the same.
when it very first kicked off, we got an Indian takeaway, just fine. And actually, the owner delivered it.
Yeah.
Interestingly, then we've had two Dominoes
Yep.
in across 4 or 5 weeks, and we got that mini grill thing that I talked about for
Oh, that's
Easter
right.
Sunday,
Yep.
which was good.
Because
But
there's
no, we've done less takeaways than we have as well.
yeah, but that's see, it's interesting because so for me, obviously, during I'm not in lockdown as such because I'm in work 2 to 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm out the house a little bit, and I have found actually over the last few weeks that and you observe the difference, I think, in terms of paranoia levels between those people who have been very much housebound
Mm-hmm.
and people maybe like myself who are actually out a bit more often. You know, I am at work every single week at some point, so I have to open doors. You have to touch door handles. I have to, do you know that way? And I had
Do you have like stuff as soon as you go in the door, like
yeah,
antibacterial?
but I don't use it because basically it's it's there for visitors more than anything else. But we just walk through the barrier and you've got kind of like the contactless thing for your card. First thing I
Wait,
do
wait,
when
wait, wait, wait. We skipped over that a sec. You don't use it
no, because the thing is, it's like it's at the front desk beside the
because you
receptionist.
work there, so you're a mean.
No, but it's daft because this is the whole point. It's like when you go to the supermarket, and that's what I mean in terms of this paranoia in this current situation, right? So basically, my whole
Mm-hmm.
point is that we were made to feel bad because we were getting takeaways because you were getting that whole how do you know that the person who's cooked it has
Hasn't got
washed their hands?
yeah, yeah,
How do you
yeah,
know that they've not touched the packaging? Same in the supermarket. I know
yeah,
I've spoken to people who are actually sanitizing every single item of food when
yeah,
it comes in
yeah.
before they put it away. And of course, then I'm not doing that, and then you instinctively go, "Well, am I doing something wrong?" And then you kind of poll like at your work and your friends, and you see that some people are and some people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So you go. I went to the supermarket tonight and after work, and there was a guy in there with a full-on respirator type mask. So not like the surgical mask, not like the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
FFP3 one. It was a full-on. It had the side components and everything, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's walking around. He's got gloves on, and I'm sitting thinking to myself, okay, so you've got the gloves on and you're picking up all these items off the shelf that have been packaged at a factory, a distribution centre, that have been put onto the shelf by a member of staff that someone who's been in the shop might have taken off the shelf and put back on. You've got your
Mm-hmm.
gloves on, you've touched it, then you put it in. Then you go about your shopping and you finish, and then you go out to the car, you pack it, you put it in a bag. What point do you take your gloves off? And then, when you do take your gloves off and you get home, how, unless you have some kind of aseptic transfer process like you do in an operating theatre, you're going to bring this into your home, touch it with something, put it in a surface before you start. It's just,
Yeah, I think
it's,
it
it's,
is hard. We're actually taking to kind of try to sanitize stuff that's coming in for the supermarket. And when we got the last couple of takeaways, literally like so, one of us will take the takeaway in, we'll decant the food into plates and take the
yeah, that's what we
tubs to the
did.
back and then
You
wash
get
your
rid of
hands and all
them,
that.
wash your
So
hands. Yeah,
you're kind of yeah.
yeah,
So we're kind of doing. I guess everyone's doing. I guess the best they think they can, which is good in a way because most people are taking this seriously.
yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
I think though, from the kind of limited studies that there have been, this is a fact check coming up. It's definitely that the vast majority of infections have come from close contact of aerosol droplets with someone that has been infected, rather than I got this virus because I touched a
yeah,
keypad at a supermarket.
yeah, yeah,
It's like so it can happen. It can survive in surfaces, but
Yeah, but
That's
mostly
why.
from direct, like sneezing on somebody.
Exactly. The most important thing you can do is two things. Is basically wash your hands often and avoid
Yeah.
touching your face, because that's the main contact route. You do those two things, then you can pretty much be a bit more relaxed about everything. But it's just really interesting. It's really interesting that we've suddenly normalised the fact that you go into the supermarket and someone's wearing a mask and you don't actually double take at that. Just think
Yeah.
about that
It'd be interesting.
6 months ago.
Do you think it might be interesting because that's much more prevalent in Asia,
Yeah.
particularly China and Japan, but they're doing it more. If they have a cold,
Yeah.
you'll have folk wearing them.
But that's the whole
So it's more of
point.
a, because everyone thinks it's like, what the hell, do they not try? It's actually
It's
it's
a
the other way around.
courtesy. Yeah.
It's a courtesy thing.
Yeah, because apart from like the guy tonight in the supermarket with the respirators on, who's clearly doing that to protect himself,
Mm-hmm.
if you're wearing a standard surgeon's mask, it doesn't, it's not going to. It
It's
might
not
reduce the
100%
chances
protected.
of you, but it's not
Yeah,
100
yeah,
because it's not an
yeah,
intact
totally.
seal. I mean, at our work, a
Yeah,
lot of the staff had to be fitted for proper
uh-huh.
FFP3 masks, and I think they had to
That's why you
fill
can see them
the
when nurses
marks.
take this.
And they
Yeah.
do. It's actually quite scientific. They do like a quantitative test, so they actually put it on and then they inject in like particles, and then they measure the number of particles if actually
Mm-hmm.
make their way through. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
proper test of its robustness. But we had a failure rate of like only 4 people passed out of 10 that tried it on.
Wow.
And you think so? Actually, these masks are simply can really only be thought of as being as a barrier. They're not going to completely give you that safety you require. And if you think about normal surgical masks, and there's obviously this big debate in the UK just now about whether actually we should be routinely wearing these when we're going out and about, is that
Mm.
you're absolutely right. They're only there to protect others. But if everyone's
Yeah.
wearing them, then it has that kind of herd effect, doesn't it? I kind of
Of
across the
protecting
board.
everyone. Yeah, which is good. Anyway, we're back on COVID-19.
Yeah, sorry, okay, but I think that
So
that's
so
nothing wrong with that because it's such a huge impact on our
it's
life.
actually no, it's true. Now the interesting thing about just closing out my, I guess, last 2 weeks is doing more fitness, doing more yoga has had a positive impact on eating because
You're hungry and you're eating more.
we're going to come we're going to come down to intermittent fasting in a second, which is going to
Yep.
be the topic today, if we get round to it.
There's a topic. Well, we've not had a topic in 4 episodes so far.
We always pretend. We always
Yeah,
pretend
okay,
there's going to be a
okay.
topic. But getting round to the kind of the sort of diet side of things, having consistently done yoga or some form of exercise every single day, or yoga and some form of exercise a lot of the time, has weirdly made me crave crap food at night less, and only in the last few days. But yeah, I don't feel so. Hey, I'm just gonna have. I don't know why. Maybe
And you
my
think
body's
that's
knackered, or
to do with the yoga?
I don't know.
Fact
It could
check.
be. Well, it could be a yoga. I don't think it's yoga necessarily. I think it's consistently doing exercise,
Yeah.
and it might be. It's either subconsciously, I'm going. You're doing all this work. Why the hell would you undo? Because it's so easy to undo. You go and do yoga for half an hour. That's maybe 150 calories, 200 tops,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pushing it. You eat a Mars bar and that's 250 calories. Do you know what I
Mars
mean?
bars. Yep.
Or a packet of crisps, 170 calories.
Really?
You have olive oil in your food? That's 100 calories right there. Butter on your bread. It's like so easy to go over, and that's why MyFitnessPal I think is quite good. If you get in the habit of not cheating and forgetting about what you put in, because it's not just 2 slices of toast, for example. It's 2 slices of toast and the butter you put on it. And it's the butter.
So is that basically an app that you're just recording the calories of what you consume?
You never heard of MyFitnessPal?
I've heard of it, but I've never used it.
Try it. Try it next time and see how you go on. Actually, there's a little
That should be a
challenge
test,
for
yeah,
you.
a little challenge for the
You basically
podcast.
put in how many calories you think you should have in a day. So it's going to be give or take 2,000. If you want to lose weight, then you drop it a little bit. If you want to maintain, you say about the same. But then you can barcode things. So you can scan the barcode and it'll tell you how many calories you are. It gets a bit more complicated if you're trying to do a takeaway or you just made up a meal.
Yeah.
Or you're just splashing in olive oil or you're just slathering butter. It's hard to kind of you're not going to weigh how many like chips you had or whatever, but you can get a good approximation, and then you can go, oh Jesus, I'm at 2,000. I'll not have that Mars bar or pancake or
It's difficult
whatever.
though, isn't it? Because it's just it's only then looking at purely quantitative calorie counting rather than, you use the example of, say, a splash of olive oil is X amount of calories compared to like lard, right? Let's say, for example, you
Well,
use two of those. I mean, I don't know what the calorie counts would be, but you often find this that actually some things are not that different, but actually what you're eating is so much better for you.
yeah, yeah, but so yeah, if you take the calorie count of a handful of M&Ms, same amount of calories in terms of cell, you need to eat like 20 times the amount of celery to have the same amount of calories. So obviously it's better there. But if you're talking about micro and macronutrients, then that's a different thing. Because yes, you should have a complete balance. You should get the right amount of micronutrients, macronutrients, etc. from what you're eating. So 100 calories is not the same. So 100
Mm.
calories of refined sugar is far worse than 100 calories of olive oil.
Yeah.
Same amount of fat content though, the same amount of impact on your the amount of fat you're going to hold on yourself though, which is why having a massive fruit salad for breakfast might feel like a good thing to do. But there's a huge amount of sugar in that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not refined sugar.
But it's not refined sugar, so it's better for you. There's still a ton of calories. So, and this is where you need to kind of think. Now, the good thing about MyFitnessPal actually does capture where it can or where it knows micronutrients, macronutrients, fat versus protein versus carbohydrates, etc.
Oh,
as
because
well.
it
So
takes all that information. Right.
it
Okay.
does.
That's a
So
test. Then I'm going to try that. I made
I've tried, and this should be a topic of another podcast. Generally, is diet and that whole calorie, micro
yeah.
macronutrients, what's good, what's bad. Because I've tried all of that stuff, and I think you can lose yourself in it and just
Yeah. See, I've never really bothered about doing anything like that. I
no,
just try to do the whole kind
don't.
of what I just try to exercise to compensate for what I eat. But literally, last night I made an apple and blackberry crumble, and that just must be horrendous in terms of calories. But
Adding sugar in it as well, take.
oh, totally, it's full of sugar, but it's just amazing. It's like the nicest thing you
But
can
also,
make.
you're allowed that, but you just need to remember. Okay, well, there's 300, 400 calories. So just bear that in mind.
Keep going. I think it'll be more than that. But
Like
right,
anytime
okay.
you have a pizza, it's ridiculous.
Pizza's terrible.
Yeah. What about you? Do we've not
Yep.
really talked too much about
So
your fitness week or 2 weeks?
last couple of weeks have been good. I was trying to actually find in my phone there the kind of summary of what I've been doing. So I'm still with my obsession with closing my rings continues. I have managed. I actually started this. If you remember, I got my new Apple Watch for my birthday in February,
Uh-huh.
and then in March I decided I was going to constantly try and close my rings. Right now, look at this. So can you see that?
It's not. It's not. It's hold it closer to the middle of the camera.
This
No,
is
back a bit. It's focusing
This
on
is
your
great
face.
for people listening to the podcast, of
Put
course.
it in front of your face because I don't know if it's Skype. Oh, it's because you're blurred. You need to put it in front of your face.
Oh, I so
You've
will.
got it
Right.
blurring the background. There we go.
But basically, I have closed my rings
Okay,
every
good.
single day since the 1st of March, and we're now on the 23rd of April.
Nice.
So that's pretty amazing for what I did, because when we started talking about this, I said that I just was really inconsistent with it. So that means every single day I've done a minimum of 30 minutes of exercise of some shape or form. 500 active calories have been burned, and I've managed to stand at some point in each hour of 12 hours of each day.
Nice.
So that's been pretty good. And again, just doing what I'm doing before is that I tried to run. So I ran today at work. I ran on the treadmill on Tuesday when I was working from home, and I did a 10k on Sunday. And I've done a bit of weights and a bit of yoga, and I've walked at work when I've not been running. So yeah, so it's been pretty
Cool.
good. But still, do you know, my meditation is just crap. My mindfulness is so bad, and I can't just get back. I've really actually lost my way on that, and it's bizarre. But
Do you feel you need it?
I did one. did one this week, and I did feel better after doing it. I definitely did. But I think it's, do you know what it is? Instead, it's because, see, when normally at night when I would meditate, the time that I would do that, I've started to fill with other things. And actually, ironically, that's been yoga at times, which is obviously like, a similar type of thing. But, other nights it's just been kind of watching a bit of TV and stuff. I don't know. I really need to get back in track with that, because I know that the longer that I go without that, then I'll start to suffer from it. So that's my big challenge for the next podcast. I need to get back into meditation, because a healthy body, healthy mind is really important.
But I guess that's my point. Do you feel like there's a negative effect of not doing that?
Yeah,
mentally,
I probably feel a bit more stressed and anxious. Yeah, definitely.
Right. And what about yoga then?
Yeah, good, but oh my god, it's so hard. I can't believe I slagged you for so many years. I'm still doing the 30 days of yoga with Adrienne.
Yeah.
Dana, I'm feeling fine, yogis. So no, it's good, but yeah, when I look at your, I do it in this room, right? So right now I'm in our bedroom because the computer's in here, and this is the only place I can really go in this house to get a bit of peace and quiet. And I do the yoga.
Do it outside as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not as. You're a bit more secluded than I am. If I did my yoga outside,
no,
I have 5 neighbours.
Just don't care. Why do you care?
But you would care if you were in my back garden. Everyone could see you.
Don't care who
right, well, I'll wait until I get a bit better, so, then I'll think about it. But see, if I did it just now, I just look like a decrepit old man.
Well, yeah, there is that. But again, who cares? What's the worst that can happen? Someone's going to go, what are you doing? You're going, I'm getting fitter than you, fat boy.
That's true. But actually, I have meditated outside before. So I think, so I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it, right? But it's hard, man. It's hard. And,
totally.
And well, my poses are crap.
See, once you've done this 30-day challenge, that'll give you a good grounding in doing stuff. Try a couple of the boho beautiful routines, even the kind of simpler ones. Because they just tend to be much more hardcore. They're either so there's a few that are quite, the fairly gentle stuff, and it'll say that on them, but the majority of them are quite. She's quite an impressive yogi.
You said before that was harder, didn't you? That was kind of more harder for people with a bit more experience.
Yeah, definitely it's hard, or not. You just because you do what you can do, but they genuinely feel like more of a cardio workout as well. Which sometimes it's good. So me and the boys actually did 2 of their 10-minute ones back to back, and they were struggling with them.
Were they? Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but no, I'm genuinely enjoying it, and I'm definitely going to stick with it. I'm finding, and I don't know if this is just psychological, because we've talked about this before in the podcast, that obviously I'm overdue my 3-month spinal correction with my chiropractor. And I've always found in the past that when I miss an appointment or I start to go a bit longer, my back would start to get sore. And I genuinely don't think it's a psychological thing. I think genuinely it's because of posture, because of sitting at a desk, because of the drive every day, that my spine just starts to misalign. And obviously I can't do that just now, so I'm hopeful that yoga will help with that a little bit.
I'm very skeptical. It's easy for me to say. Skeptical.
That was a fact check from my previous episode. It was about chiropractors because you hate them.
It all seems to be genuine.
So I think we need to get a chiropractor on as a guest one time to deal with your utter obsession and hatred towards them.
What? That's fairly extreme. Interestingly, the mad conspiracy theories that are popping up on Facebook from doctors, 2 of them, or the only 2 that I've seen in the last couple of, because most of the conspiracy theorists don't classify themselves as doctors.
Yeah.
The only 2 that have classified themselves as doctors that I've seen. This is probably another fact check will be hard to check because it's kind of fake
chiropractors,
stuff.
were they?
We're chiropractors.
Yeah. Can a chiropractor call themselves a doctor? Have they got a PhD?
Well, they seem to be can in the States, it seems. Anyway, because these are two from the States.
It's like Ross and Friends, isn't it? When he's a paleontologist and he's he's not a real doctor. In fact, it's like you lot with me because you've always done that.
Yeah, it is you. Yeah. Is there a doctor in the house?
You're not a real doctor.
No, you're not a real doctor.
At which point someone with a PhD goes, actually, I think you'll find I am a real doctor. The medics are not. They're MBCHBs, and you just look like a total dick.
I bet you've used that before, haven't you?
Yeah, I have a wee bit because it was a lot of work.
What?
Oh. Them were the days.
Right, so podcast now.
So
so that was your week. So it was pretty good.
Yep.
Yoga, you're going to stick with it. You're going to try and get back into meditation.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes. But the running and whatnot is going well. What about diet?
Yeah, it's been all right. I think. Yeah, I think we've mostly been kind of vegetarian. We've been eating a little bit of fish and stuff like that. I don't think we've eaten an awful lot of fish over the last couple of weeks. I've done a bit of fasting, which we'll talk about when we actually got into the topic for today. Even though we're now, as usual, 32 minutes of rambling in. But yeah, a little bit of fasting, being pretty sensible. I think I have been eating quite a lot of chocolate, but that's mostly because all the kids get Easter eggs, and I kept stealing usually Maisie's chocolate because she's an easy target. That's my 2-year-old. So it's kind of, the boys know every. Like, honestly, it's like they measure the eggs, and you go in and you see it open, and you're just like, you take a little bit off, and they're on to you. But yeah, no, it's been all right. It's been all right. So I can't complain. But yeah, I made a crumble last night, which is amazing. Good. And I actually have to make you a crumble because I'm a terrible cook, as you know. I have no interest in cooking. But my God, I can make a good crumble. It's phenomenal.
Oh, you need to send some over then.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I'll sanitize it down when it comes in, isn't it?
Yes. Well, actually, here's another thing. Apparently, if you put anything in a microwave, then you're fine. So
you just microwave everything.
So as soon as you bring your shopping in next week, just put all your stuff into
everything in the microwave.
Yeah.
Cook it before you put it in the fridge.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, but you definitely try MyFitnessPal then with diet.
Yeah, no, I'll try that.
I'll try that. I'll try and I've been doing it on and off, so I'll try and do that religiously as well for next time, and we can compare. Good, right? Okay, so fact check. Let's go into the fact checking.
Okay, so the first one from the last fact check was around COVID and why Sweden seems to not be doing too badly from I guess their situation where they haven't gone into full lockdown. They've just kind of practiced social distancing and seem to be managing okay with that. Now their numbers are increasing actually, and so you don't know if maybe they're just on a different trajectory, because I actually saw a really good tweet I think the other day, and it was a graph that showed a line that says the amount of hours that I've spent looking at graphs over the last which I thought is true, because every single one of us, I mean worldometers, who even fucking knew that existed? And everyone I know now has that and looks at it every single day. And at some point during the day you'll probably say to your wife or your friends or your colleagues, oh, America's in trouble. Oh, America! I mean, I wouldn't want to be in America. I mean, look what's happening there. It's phenomenal. Oh, it's unbelievable. Or the other one you then say is, I just don't believe the Chinese numbers. It just can't be right. It can't be right.
Exactly.
You know, so it's
that is a fair.
But anyway, from
looking at the numbers right now.
All right, live, okay.
Just live from USA, they're 50,000. However, they're 150 deaths per million, which is better than the UK.
Yeah. What's their testing ratio though?
Per million, 2,500, whereas UK is 2,000.
All right, okay. So yeah, but
anyway, back to Sweden. Sorry.
Yeah, so Sweden. So basically, in terms of the fact check, and I think at the time when we said this, we felt it was because that they tend to be a bit better at doing what they're told.
Yep.
So basically, it seems to be that Swedes generally do follow guidance well. They've been told to work from home if they can, social distance, reduce going to bars, only visit elderly if required, naturally social distance, they do have a higher single house occupancy, a younger population, and they tend to stay home if they're slightly ill. So they actually have a good public sector, good welfare state. Most people get sick pay, so therefore they are... they actually have very good maternity leave over in kind of the Nordic countries as well, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
However, whilst they are not as bad as the UK, they have up to 10 times higher death rate than their Scandinavian neighbours who did lockdown. but they're still doing better than us at 192 deaths per million. But you've just given us some live numbers there, Ran, and what was written down at the time. So genuinely, it seems to be that, and this is probably a similar thing to China, is that actually people, like, when the government say this is what you should do, people are quite respectful of that. And the Swedes are probably are more respectful than those of us in the UK. Certainly in China, for example, that's the type of state where you can imagine if they're told to stay at home, they will stay at home, because otherwise they'll have like a drone attacking them if they walk out the house and stuff. So it's down to cultural differences, I think.
Yeah, does seem to be. Although, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Sweden does pan out, because it's certainly increasing, and I've just checked that it's now up at 200 deaths per million.
But the good analogy for the UK is Ireland, because we almost were bang on with each other in terms of the first cases that we had, and Ireland locked down, I think, 2 weeks before us, and it went in a completely different path. Because so I don't think anyone's in any doubt that we locked down too late. Because we had this stupid situation where we were like, it's okay, folks, we know you're all locked down, but we're going to keep washing our hands. Cheltenham Festival with, like, what was it, 250,000 people or something ridiculous like that.
A couple of big concerts.
So that's where we are. So that was
it's also easy to sort of say in hindsight as well, because...
No, of course it is, and no one knows what's right or wrong. I mean, we could be sitting here and actually we could be saying, look at us, our economy's much more stable because we went for herd immunity. It's always the same. Yeah. So, do you want to do the next one? Because I can't even pronounce that.
So, I couldn't remember the guy's name. Michael, I think I'd said Ostenholzer or something. The guy I was referring to was Michael T. Osterholm, who's an infectious disease epidemiologist that I listened to on the Joe Rogan podcast. And it was really fascinating because he essentially predicted this was going to happen. He's been dealing with infectious diseases his whole career, and informs various governments. And I'm actually listening to his book called The Deadliest Enemy just now. And it's really, I've only just started it, but it is really interesting. And it is, the main thrust of it is, look, the biggest problem for humanity is our viruses. That's what's going to kill us all off. Not wars, also high up there and whatnot, but it's way higher. Viruses are the thing that you need to worry about.
Is that not the quote that actually opens the film Outbreak?
It could be.
There's a fact check for next week.
Right, you write that down, fact check,
right,
Outbreak,
okay.
while I talk about this. He was one of the first people onto the AIDS epidemic before they even knew what it was. And he has consistently and constantly had an uphill battle with authorities when he talks about the science, tells the numbers. Nobody wants to know. And even when the AIDS epidemic was essentially properly identified as a specific thing and where it came from, the retrovirus and whatnot, even then the governments, and this was like the early 80s still, the governments were saying, oh, right, there's this thing, we need to sort it, but don't worry, we'll have a vaccine in a matter of months. Here we are, 30 odd years later.
Still no vaccine. Yeah.
Still no vaccine. Now we can obviously a lot of progress has been made, and you can deal with it and whatnot, but still no vaccine.
Yeah.
So the whole hopefulness around vaccines should be, you just need to pay attention to the folk that know what they're talking about. So I'm going to keep listening to that book. Interestingly, I don't know, I on the commute to work, I used to listen to lots of Audible books. But obviously, not having a commute, I've not done any of that now. So it's
just affecting your reading. So you're exercising more, but you're sleeping better, but you're reading less.
Yep.
Interesting, eh?
Do you want me to take the next one, or do you want to take the next one?
Go for the next one. I'll stick to the
you can't say it
dolphins in Venice.
So it was what is the psoas muscle? Spelled PSOAS. And this is oversimplifying a little bit, but basically it's the major muscle that joins your upper body to your lower body. So it's pretty a key muscle, and it's connected with the hip flexors, associated with the hip flexors. So tightness of that muscle in general leads to low back pain, and therefore, and low back pain is obviously the most common form of back pain, and so that's why I think yoga helps with this. There's another guy, David Goggins. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's like the Nothing Can Knock Me Down or something like that. he's basically this ex-marine who has the world pull-up record. He runs ultra marathons and he goes on talk shows and all sorts. Anyway, he didn't used to stretch, and he could barely lift his legs up. He started exercising the psoas muscle and doing lots of really deep stretching, and he had to do it for like hours a day to get back to a level playing field. But that he was focusing on the psoas muscle, and apparently he's so much better for it as well, even though he was ultra fit anyway. So yeah, and I actually think the yoga is helping me in that because I'm getting more flexible. It must be the psoas muscle, must be hip flexors.
So this is an important muscle then, right? I need to try and find this muscle.
Yeah.
And stretch it.
Yeah.
So the next one, in fact, the last one I think was around our conversation that I think we said it, maybe we didn't, I can't remember, but we talked about actually that there's an argument that we're the virus. You know, we're Mother Nature, the planet Earth will be fine. It's humanity that's we're the virus of the cancer on this planet, and actually you're already seeing differences in terms of the impact of people not being in the streets. There've been less vehicles, less pollution in major cities, and I think I said that they'd seen dolphins in Venice, and you laughed at me, but actually that's true. They have been spotted. There's large jellyfish that have been seen there as well. The water's much clearer. And Venice is obviously quite the water is usually quite polluted, and air pollution in major cities is its lowest level since records began in some cases. Paris, Rome, Madrid, Milan, lots of blue skies for the first time across Delhi. People in northern India are seeing views of the Himalayas for the first time in their lifetime. So there is some positive things. The irony here, of course, is that as soon as we get back to a level of normality, that all goes away. But it's just interesting that actually we think that this is such a huge impact. Oh my God, this is really affecting our lives. It's such a negative thing. But in a really short space of time, the world almost can kind of like forget about us. We just find a way. And you see all these pictures as well of like deer and stuff grazing through cities and stuff as well.
This could be the moment, like the first time, I can't remember what it was, Carl Sagan talked about the pale blue dot.
Cosmos, I watched that the other night. Yeah. Oh, pale blue dot, it's amazing.
Pale blue dot, and when basically when is it Saturn? What was the
I can't remember specifically, but pale blue dot it was the Voyager probe, I think.
Voyager probe, yeah. So it turned round and looked. Yeah. The last picture of the Earth was a pale blue dot, and that was us, this kind of insignificant speck in this mass. But also, I think it was the first picture of the Earth from the moon landing. Was it called Earthrise?
Yeah, when it's just see the top of it above the
moon. And that's and in the 60s, obviously, and that's what spawned the modern environmental movement, because suddenly folk paid it, like, oh my God, that we are on this.
This is what the world looks like.
This is what the world looks like. We're on this one thing. It's amazing we exist. Yada yada. Maybe this is a kind of similar moment, because why would the several million people in northern India go, I'm okay with all that pollution that used to be here?
Yeah.
Definitely. No, I'm not. And maybe governments will change, policies will change, hopefully, to kind of, because there's solutions for all these problems. It's just having the will and the money to do it.
I'm sure we said this last time as well. We can't go back to where we were because it was normal, or what we consider to be normal, that caused this situation. So there needs to be some change. But yeah, it's really, really interesting actually, and all these things. And pale blue dot, we should cover that, because I started watching again Cosmos on Netflix, because it's incredible when you hear Carl Sagan talking about that. And now you've got
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, exactly. And he does his version of it. It's really, really good. So I think it's.
Have you listened to? It's on YouTube. His most astounding fact.
No, I haven't. No, I have to check that out.
You should check that out. And it's so good, because he's so eloquent. He's quite poetic when he talks about things. But it's basically saying we are all made of stars.
Yeah,
and the
Stardust.
fact that
Yeah,
and the fact
yeah.
that we all
But
but
that's
you
like
should
pure.
check it. It's like 3 minutes. It's just him saying, because someone's asked him in like a podcast or an interview, what is the most astounding fact? Tells me the most astounding fact, and he says this thing, and it's really cool.
Okay, so we're now at 47 minutes, and we've only
We've
covered the
not
initial
started.
ramble and fact check. And I'm acutely aware that it's 3 minutes past 11, and you can always guarantee my wife is going to start coming upstairs soon and pop her head in the door and saying, I need to go to bed. So we need to start covering what we were going to talk about, which was
Yes,
intermittent
intermittent
fasting.
fasting. Yeah.
So go, because it's your baby.
Right. Okay. So I started. So let's cover broadly what intermittent fasting is, and there will probably be a few fact checks. You take note here of what they could be. But
Okay.
essentially, intermittent fasting is a relatively new dietary concept, I guess. Although fasting has been around forever, really, and different cultures have done fasting or still do fasting to greater or lesser extent to this day. But intermittent fasting came on and gathered a lot of, or has been gathering a lot of momentum because it seems to have a positive impact on the amount of calories people consume potentially. I think that's a fact check, but certainly the amount of excess fat that people hold. It seems to be quite effective in reducing the amount of fat people have when they go on a fasting diet. And I'll come on to what the science seems to say about that in a second. But intermittent fasting is essentially you're fasting on and off on a daily basis, as opposed to just fasting, which is several days you just don't eat. You're essentially allowed water and some other liquids.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, black coffee, black tea, and I'll explain why in a second. But you basically allowed liquids, but you eat in certain windows of the day. And there seems to be two broad intermittent fasting methods people use. One is 5-2 method, which is like 5 days a week. They're on a kind of you go on a calorie restricted diet of around about 500 calories a day, and then 2 days a week you can eat whatever you like.
Yeah.
Whereas what I do is the 16-8 method, which is basically you're fasting
16
for
days
60.
and 8 days of fasting.
No, 40 days and 40 days.
16 days of eating, by which time you're like
8
20
days of
stone.
yeah. and then it comes all off again in the next
Yeah.
8 days. Then
You're like, yeah.
16 hours in a day. How many hours in a day? Neil?
24, I think. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So 16 hours of those 24 hours you're not eating, and 8 hours of those 24 you are eating.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, a big chunk of that first fasting period is covered from your sleeping. So you should be sleeping 7 to 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
That covers 1/2 of the amount. The next one is you typically don't eat that late into the evening. So say you have dinner and then you have a snack at say 8 o'clock at night, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
The next time you can technically eat is 12 o'clock the next day, so lunchtime.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially you fast from not long after dinner or having a snack, supper, whatever, around about 8 o'clock. You then are up for a couple of hours, you then go to bed, you sleep for 8 hours, you then get up. You don't have breakfast, you can have as much water as you want, you can have black tea, black coffee, and then you eat at lunchtime.
Yep.
You then eat pretty much as you would normally have. Obviously, you should be having a balanced, like good diet, as you should anyway, but you're not having to restrict the amount of calories you should normally take.
And who decided on the 16-8? I mean, why, like...
So there does seem to be some science behind this. Actually, I found an article from... where is it? Harvard Health Publishing from Harvard Medical School.
Mm-hmm.
From Feb 2020, and it was sort of semi-dissing intermittent fasting as being as good as just restricting calories, generally speaking. But what it does go on to say is that actually if you restrict to certain times of the day, and i.e. this 8-hour period, it does seem to have a better impact or better effect.
Because when we talked about
generally
this before, I think as well we'd said that as much of it is about, is it not also trying to sort of give your gut a rest? It's kind of like a recovery
Yeah.
phase as well, isn't it? It's not just
Yep.
about, because the key thing here, as you've said to me before on this, is that you don't change the total number of calories you consume within that 24-hour period. So therefore, your calorie count remains the same, but by condensing that into a shorter period, it must be to do with the periods of activity and inactivity that means you make what more effective use of those calories,
Yep. Yep.
or do you actually subconsciously eat less because you might say, okay, well, actually eat the same, but in reality, would you? Because you're not going
Was
to suddenly go, all right, wait a minute, it's 12 o'clock, therefore I'm now going to have my breakfast and my lunch in the next hour. And then, you will inevitably eat less.
yeah, 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 definitely. So yeah, I think there's going to be a bit about that in it. It doesn't say too much about that in the literature that I've seen. Um, that's more something I think it feels kind of commonsensical, but that's probably a bit of a fact check we can maybe do for next time.
Yeah.
But what this article is basically saying is, why is the time aspect help? Why does the time aspect help? And it seems to be linked to evolutionary or some evolutionary traits.
Yeah.
So you're not always having to eat all the time. And I guess back in the day, going back to prehistory, you would eat when you can. So sometimes you wouldn't be eating, and
Yeah.
you got to still function well when you're fasting, if
Yeah.
you like.
Yeah.
But it seems that fasting, generally, when testing people that are fasting versus those that aren't, it improves metabolism, it lowers blood sugar, it lessens inflammation, it can improve a range of health issues like arthritic pain to asthma, clears out toxins and damaged cells, lowers risk of cancer, and enhances brain function. So there's quite a few.
Yeah, the brain
Um,
function thing, I've read about that before. It must
yeah.
be, and so it's almost like periods of what hypoglycemia
Mm-hmm.
are are what almost good for you, are
Mm-hmm.
good. And so it's just interesting to know what kind of the chemical or cellular reactions are that would cause that. Is that
So,
obviously yeah, I think we need to understand a bit more about the science behind it.
well, it seems to be. It's very linked, and this article also says this, but it seems to be very linked to insulin. So
Yeah.
your body typically has up to 36 hours of glycogen stores in it. So your body will naturally tap into glycogen stores for energy. It's easier to
Mhm.
tap into that. And the analogy, one of the kind of scientists associated with fasting, I can't remember who the guy's name, we should probably find that out, likened it to have a fridge and a freezer. And so your body, it's much easier to go to the fridge for something to eat because you don't need to defrost it if you go to the freezer.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean.
Whereas
Yeah.
whereas glycogen stores, when the fridge is bare or it's hard, there's not much in it, you then go to the freezer
Yep.
and you get this stuff in the freezer is the fat cells.
Yep.
And basically your body will then, because you're fasted, it doesn't have anywhere to go. Insulin's required to take energy out of glucose, and if your insulin's low, then it allows that, or sorry, it prevents you getting energy. If your insulin spikes, it kind of pushes your body more into the glycogen stores because
Yeah.
it's more beneficial. Whereas if your insulin drops, so when you're fasted, your insulin drops, it allows your body to tap into those fat cells for energy and release energy from fat cells as well as glycogen
Yeah,
cells.
because
And it's
insulin
linked to
causes
ketosis.
cells to take up glucose, doesn't it? Yeah, insulin
Uh-huh.
causes cells to.
Yep.
That's right. So that makes you hypoglycemic,
Yep.
which will then trigger glucagon to then metabolize glycogen in your liver into glucose to then try and increase. Right. Okay. So you're saying basically the liver with the glycogen storage is actually kind of like the freezer, and then
Mm-hmm.
because it's easier for you to go and eat more to top up your blood sugar rather than release those reserves,
Yep.
that it just kind of sits there and then
Uh-huh.
goes out of date.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
that's
just
a good analogy.
it
Yeah,
stays as a fat cell and it
yeah,
doesn't move, and that's why you go, why am I not shifting the weight even though I'm doing more exercise, even though I think I'm improving my diet? And touch wood, that's what, because as I said, my diet's been pretty poor, but I'm not ridiculously put on weight
yep,
um,
yep.
or fat really. Um, so So it definitely works for me. And the easy thing is, it's not like a fad diet.
Yeah, it's a
It's
way of
just
life.
simply
Yeah.
simply not. Now it's quite good for me because I've never been particularly interested into having breakfast. Like I'll have it on occasion, but I'm
You certainly
not.
like a breakfast when you come and stay at my house. 12 sausages.
Oh, but that's linked to booze and all that as well, though, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
there's
that's
other,
true. That's true.
but the yeah the eating breakfast has never been that big a deal for me. So therefore, it's quite easy. So therefore, it's quite a simple shift from not from just not eating breakfast to then do it. Now I'm not completely religious with it. I don't stick to 16/8 all the time. Sometimes I'll maybe just do 12 hours, whatever.
Mm.
Other times I'll go 20, 22 hours.
That's what I was going
Just
to ask. Is
depending.
that the longest you've ever done? So have you ever done an entire
I don't
24-hour
think
period of fasting?
I don't know if I've ever done an entire 24 hours. I've got close to it before because I've just kind of went dinner to dinner.
Yeah.
Um, but it just really depends on what's going on, what I've been doing. Um,
I think what I'd like to understand a little bit more about is the kind of, this will be a fact check for next time, is the effect of intermittent fasting on your on normal glycemia, on your blood sugar control. As you know, I've worked a little bit with diabetes and you know pancreatic islets and stuff in the past, and I'd be interested to see actually or understand if diabetic patients that try intermittent fasting have better control because yeah,
there does seem to be linkages and stuff that I've read up on the past that it helps with diabetes, particularly, well, obviously diabetes that is diet, or if they can be helped with the diet. Although I think
yeah,
maybe
like
all
what
diabetes can essentially be
like
helped
what
with
type
diet.
2 insulin resistant, is
Yeah,
that what you mean?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the best one. But yeah, it's just it's fascinating actually. So I mean, I tried it. I do it periodically. I've never got into the habit that you have of just making it like lifestyle. I've done it a couple of times, and I do find it quite easy actually, because it's simply just I don't eat shit at night.
Yep.
Just try to stop after 8 o'clock, and then we'll skip breakfast. I do find it easier when I have a bit of coffee in the morning, and you wonder, is that because the coffee's helping to suppress my appetite?
So, so this is the interesting thing. I quite like the fact that it says most people, or pretty much all people, say water's fine, black coffee's fine, black tea's fine, because none of those things trigger a insulin response. And I go, I do have a quick why does coffee not or tea not trigger an insulin response?
Because there's no glucose.
But why? So what? There must be other things,
Well,
or
there's
is it
the
just literally
caffeine,
every other
or
drink?
maybe it's the caffeine just giving you a boost, so it makes you feel better,
No, no,
rather
no. It's,
than
it's saying that there isn't an insulin response. That's part of the reason that you can. Because see, if you took a juice,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to
because
trigger an
there's
insulin
sugar in it.
response.
Yeah,
And I go, well, is there not some sugars in toothpaste, for example,
there's a
or
fact
is it
check.
sweet? It certainly tastes sweet. Whether it's, it won't be sugar because that would be
It'll be
daft,
like
surely.
sweeteners and
But it'll be
saccharins.
sweeteners, and
That would be daft. It's like, hey,
because you're brushing your teeth with sugar.
try the new sugar toothpaste. Oh wait a minute, I've been brushing
But
with
it
this for a year and I've
exactly,
no fucking teeth.
but it does taste sweet. So I go, well, is that creating an insulin response? You brush your teeth every morning.
Yeah, I wondered about chewing gum.
Chewing
So
gum as well. I think chewing gum, yeah. So that's a definite fact check. Why would I also wrote to somebody that's one of these intermittent faster people on Twitter about a multivitamin as well. If you take a multivitamin in the
yeah,
morning, does that not now? Interestingly, I don't know if you ever taken a multivitamin on an empty stomach.
no, you're not meant to.
You feel sick.
Yeah, because yeah, it's you need your stomach to be kind of working to help break
Uh-huh.
these drugs down.
So, in
Yeah.
the fact that you feel sick, or I feel sick, there must be some sort of. I would have thought there's some sort of insulin response happening there.
Well, I mean, most
But
most vitamins will contain probably some. I would think some some sugars, perhaps some stabilizers, some. Yeah,
mhm.
But I mean, I think definitely when I did it in the past for a bit longer, it is very easy to lose weight doing it. There's no doubt about that. So I can understand actually there's a big incentive there to try it. But at the same time, there's sometimes you just get up, or for me
That's
anyway,
fine.
and I just want to eat my breakfast.
That's fine.
And if I'm exercising as well, I find that difficult.
Well,
It's weird because I told you that before, like, oh, but I'm exercising at lunchtime, so I need to eat my breakfast. But then see if I
hmm
go out a big run on a Sunday, I
hmm
won't eat anything before I go.
there you go.
But yeah,
Now,
yeah, it's just so actually I'm
so,
talking
so
crap.
yeah, is that you're kind of, I think is your what's the word?
Making excuses.
No. When you're programmed to think that way, what's that? I can't think of. There's a phrase for it.
What, like a predisposition type thing?
Not a predisposition, but you've talked yourself into it so much that you think that's how it
I'm
works when
delusional.
that doesn't. We know that. But so I actually thought I would struggle with it, even though I wasn't that big a fan of breakfast. I thought I'd struggle with it because I used to get hangry. But I actually found when I first started doing it, I felt more alert. I felt less hungry, and it was quite easy to stave off any hunger pangs because hunger is cyclical, like pretty much everything else. You get hungry at a certain point in time. If you just either distract yourself with something else or take a lot of water, because quite often you're not hungry, you're just thirsty,
Yeah,
and you can get
yeah.
confused. So that's why it's important to drink a lot of water. You just drink water, drink coffee, drink tea, go and do something else. After 20 minutes or so, the hunger pangs are gone.
Have you
So
found
whether you
that?
eat or whether you don't eat, your hunger goes away.
Have you found that it's managed to help with your? Because I remember I've known you a long, long time. You are not
Here we
a
go.
sharer of food.
No,
You
no,
were
I'm
quite
still.
notorious when you were younger of like, if you tried to steal something from your plate, that you had this sort of tribal Cro-Magnon man type response of, like you're like a dog, like a really big dog, and like you put down its bowl to eat, and then you try to remove that bowl and it will actually take your arm off. That's what you were like.
Well, or Joey from Friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or you don't share. Yeah.
I don't share food. No, but I'm again, say, I would happily. You want some chips? I'll buy you an extra bowl of chips. You want that thing? Go and buy that thing. That's fine. But don't come trying to take it off my plate like it's.
I know. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But so do you
And
think
that's probably
is intermittent fasting for you? I mean, this has been years now. So do you think
actually
that this
has,
is
yeah.
just a lifetime thing for you?
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing because it's not. I've tried the trying to do a macro diet of a certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs, certain amount of
Yeah.
fats. I've tried prepping meals so that you get an adequate amount of protein triggering through the
Yeah.
day. I've tried the 6 kind of small meals a day thing. All of that's really difficult to keep
Yeah.
following.
Whereas
I
this is
think
easy. Yeah.
this is so easy, and the only thing I need to
Yeah.
fix is that just cutting back on refined sugary shit. Which
Which
I think,
actually it was the whole point of us trying to start this podcast in the first instance, isn't it? Is
uh
trying to find a way to make us as being a part of the world that are notoriously bad in terms of our diets and being
that's
healthy
right.
and all the rest of it, to try and make that lifestyle change
Yeah,
not feel like it's you're denying yourself something,
totally.
that it's punishment, that it's difficult. It's just about it's making something habit and normalizing it. It's like me in vegetarianism or
hmm
cutting out meat. You just get used to something and then you can deal with it. People who give up booze exactly the same.
hmm
What I'd be interested to know, though, this is a fact check for next week, is this more effective within a certain age bracket? Is this something that, for example, that at our age, it's going to have much larger health benefits than it would do for someone in their 20s or 30s or even someone in their 60s?
hmm
That'd be interesting to know.
Would be, yep, that's a good one.
Um, yeah,
But it definitely seems to be. So the good thing I'd say about this is one, it does seem to be backed by fairly legitimate scientific evidence.
yep,
There's a lot of goodness. There's good associated with it, whether you're looking to lose weight or not. There's additional benefits that's worth giving it a shot.
yep,
Two, there does seem to be some evolutionary basis to it as well. So if you go, oh yeah, okay, that does make some sort of sense.
Yeah, it does.
The human body still needs to function if it goes with an extended period of time without food, because at some point in time we'd have had to do that for a lot longer than we've been around as modern people.
Yeah.
Three, it's, as I said, not a diet as such. It's just a sort of slightly. It's a way of eating. You don't have to change your diet too radically or at all, really, to still have some positive benefits. So for all those reasons, it just feels like it's a good thing to try out, and I'm glad that I stumbled across it because it just ticks all those boxes for me.
So here's a question, right? What if you were to do intermittent fasting and in that 8-hour period only eat crisps?
Have you seen Super Size Me?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, your whole body's going to
Morgan
fall apart.
Spurlock, and your body's going to shut down. And it's going to, which is another good. That was a good. He's done another film, I'm sure, on something else. I think did he not do some sort of chicken farm expose? I'd have thought you'd have been all over that. Did he not?
I can't remember.
He did. So, for anyone that's not seen it, Morgan Spurlock, a kind of documentary guy, did this movie called Super Size Me, where all he ate for a month, I think it was, or he was going to go for all he ate for 3 months, but he ended up only doing it for a month, was McDonald's. And at any time he went to McDonald's, if they asked to supersize it, he had to take it, which is essentially a massive pile of chips and a
particularly
huge
in America,
drink.
Yes,
in America, which is huge. Yeah. And he got all of his I guess measurements, blood sugar or bloods, his various tests done just before he did it. And essentially all the doctors he went to as he was going through it were saying, stop doing this, you're doing so much damage to your body with this. His liver was just so badly damaged. His heart, the amount of fat that was then just swimming about in the system was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's folk that live off that.
Oh, I know.
Which is insane. Anyway, I'm sure he's done another thing that might be worth looking into, which is where Kentucky Fried, I'm sure he goes in, he creates his own chicken farm for fast food restaurants to expose the ridiculously lax rules you need to face.
Oh, yeah, terrible. Yeah.
To say that's a bit of chicken, essentially.
Right, we'll fact check that for next week.
Yeah. So you're going to try intermittent fasting? Well, just while we wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's an obvious thing for me to do because obviously you're pretty much the positive control here. So I think I need to be someone that actually tests it out to see if I can do it. So why don't I make that my challenge for the next couple of weeks to try and at least do some, every other day or I don't know, 2 or 3 days I'll try and do some fasting and then see how I feel. And take it from there, and then we can report back in the next one. I think what we should also mention to our listeners is that we had a full intention tonight to try and stick to less than an hour because we do feel we ramble on and we're an hour and 10 minutes, so we are going to try our best to kind of keep this down and make it a bit more concise. And I'd also like to talk about COVID, and I think we should actually dedicate a full podcast to COVID, and not only about impact, because I think we're going to be in lockdown for a while or some shape or form. It might be some time before you and I can find ourselves in the studio together. But did you not
listen to episode 4?
Yeah, true. That's very true. But actually, this time we're going to back up with some science.
Talk about the science behind it?
Yeah. Science! Because science is the answer here. Science is what's going to fix it. That was a promise I made to someone.
Is that a kind of rock thing saying science?
That was a rock science. Science! Yeah. That was especially for my good friend Graham, who was on the QP course with me, who actually listens to this podcast, and that was a thing that we used to do. Science! But basically, we're involved in some nice strategies and work to actually look at innovative treatments for COVID, and I think it'd be quite a nice thing to talk about as well.
Definitely.
Very timely.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Good. So I think that probably wraps up today's episode.
Yeah. 1 hour 13 minutes. Not too bad. So I think.
Not too bad.
Stay safe, everyone. Keep washing those hands. We'll
keep washing those hands.
Stay safe until we get back to some kind of normality.
The new normal.
The new normal, yeah. And hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next time. Cheers, Neil.
Okay.
I will catch you later.
Cheers, folks. Bye.
Bye.